Welcome to Real Chat TV. I'm your host, Abby. The topic for discussion today is on gang culture. We will be looking at the youth today and why they need to join gang at the first place. Joining us today to look at the reasons why the youth join crimes and gang members and why they even engage in gang culture at the first place, looking at the warning signs, looking at prevention, is someone who has lived it, all. He's lived through it, he's now reformed, and he's now helping the youth. He's now going into events, schools, and getting kids off the street. It's not someone who has just theoretical knowledge about it or someone who just read it from a book. This is Real Chat TV, and we are keeping it real. So we're talking about someone who is real, raised in a severely deprived and notorious estate in Waltham Forest. Divine sold Class A drugs at the age of 16. He then encountered an almost fatal shooting that sparked a transformation in his life. As a former drug dealer, Divine has witnessed the hardcore and vicious cycle of gang culture. We will be talking to Mr. Divine Ampofo. Join me. Let's welcome Mr. Divine Ampofo. Thank you so much for honoring my invitation.
It's a pleasure.
So, as I've already welcomed you, and as a topic for discussion today, we're going to be discussing, the focus is on the youth. So we're looking at gang culture, knife culture, gang membership. I mean, we just want to find out why the need to join gang at the first place. What is it? We just be looking at reasons why they join, signs, as parents, because obviously our children sometimes have multiple personalities. So we just want to know, because you have lived through it all. I mean, if you don't mind, we'd like to know how it all started, why you thought you even had to become a gang member at the first place. Yeah. Why? What was the pushing factor for you?
I think for me a major part was the environment I grew up in. That played a major role in the direction that I took at an earlier stage of my life. A lot of it was also to do with the circumstance that I found myself in. I mean, for me anyway, and a lot of the young people that I was around at the time growing up, a lot of us young people, or say the youth, you find yourself like, when you're in a situation, when you're living a certain life, you don't realize where you are until you reflect back on it. So the norm for us was growing up in a place where single parent mother, my mum was struggling. I grew up on an estate. Around me was just a lot of people that was going through the same sort of issues we were going through, and there was a lot of poverty around us. There wasn't a lot of inspiration. There was not a older generation that was sort of enlightening us about a broader perspective on life. So we created our own world, our own reality. And within that reality, there were many different factors that came into place, which sort of brought us to a place which was called a gang. But where it began is that we were just school kids going to school, leaving school, at school a bit disruptive and the rest of it. And due to building that friendship and bond, we decided we did things together, So when there was problems with one person, it became everyone's problem, So by doing that, anything that was done negatively would obviously be reflected as a gang, So initially, I would say, as I said, definitely the environment and the circumstance that we found ourselves in was in the initiation of basically finding ourselves in a place where some would call a gang, if that makes any sense to you.
Yeah, that makes sense. So given your definition and the background to which you started, so what I'm deducing right now is the title gang may not, if let's say a group of boys decide to hang out together, look after each other, balance each other's strengths and weaknesses, because as a parents may not be there for us, so we are just friends, looking out for each other, sticking out for each other. Does that make us gang members?
I mean to be fair, that's where it began, But when you realize the power of this coming together, it becomes something that became a brand, And we grew up in an environment where where you lived, your estate you was from, was part of the brand of who represented who you was. So if all of us at the time chilled on a particular estate, that estate now became our territory that we had to brand in order, because we realized that by branding your territory, there were so many benefits in the underground world, you know. So I mean, just like now, like a company would want to brand themselves, and the more valuable they are, the more worth they become within their realm. Is the same as us as young kids. We became, we were branding ourselves, you know. And in the world that we lived in, the way to brand yourself was to be seen very fearless, to obviously be able to make a lot of money on the streets, have a lot of girls and partying and flashy lifestyle. So it became this world where the more you can sort of advertise this, the more sort of benefits that could come to you within the underground world. So something that started off as just friends, we started to see the social benefit for being in that realm. And this is what can overcome you as a person, you know. I don't know if that kind of gives you an indication to... So there was some level of ownership, was us accept that, taking that responsibility. We are a gang. You know, even though we began as friends, we realized the benefit of advertising your neighborhood. And we then capitalized off of that, and that's what created this atmosphere of gangs, which then built territory, which we may go into further on.
So if obviously the benefits, I mean, what you've said right now are the benefits, you know, for individual members.
Within that realm, within that realm. I couldn't say it's benefit now, but based in that realm, it's seen as a benefit.
So, because what we're reading, it's not like we believe everything that is on the news, because most of the youth are doing so much good.
Of course.
But it's not being reported.
Yes.
So we're not really even going to go to what is being reported about the youth or the gang crimes. But what if the benefits or the motive or the reasons why most people get into gangs is to have this sense of belonging, this brotherhood, the benefits, watching out for each other, watch my back, you know that. So they are all benefits. There are good reasons. Good reasons for joining.
Which they appear, I mean, within that realm,
So at what point does, I know you did mention about territories, protecting your territory. So is that what they call the postcode?
Yeah, that's where you would find like postcode war. I mean, just like anything, if this is your home, and anyone comes into your home, you feel this sense of urge to defend it. But you gotta understand, just like anything in any world, just like, I mean, even we have in the world, we have different armies. You have right now this political war with different countries. So we understand that this sense of territory exists in every realm. Do you understand? But it's just that obviously within the underground realm, you have to question: is it worth what they're fighting? What is they're fighting for something that's more of an illusion, as to something that's real? You know, I mean, there is no justification for war in any realm that we live in, but within that world, it's real. You know, it's real for them.
It is.
But as obviously you get older and life becomes more valuable to you, you have more things to live for, you know. So, but yes, you will find that that's where territorial war comes from, the fact that people are trying to protect what they've built.
Because I'm just looking at, you've just explained what I was going to ask, my next question. I was just going to ask, why the enmity? Why this black on black crime? Why this one stabbing days? Because if what I'm doing right now is creating my small group, watching out of each other, protecting each other, why do I get stabbed? What is, I don't get, because children as young as 9-year-old are getting stabbed. You know, so where from this?
I think, sorry to cut, I think it's part of the culture, you know. Within that culture, it's what is the package, part and package, you know. You know, and at the same time, you're living in a world that people are living in poverty. I mean, let's get to the reality of the situation. These are young kids that are, as I said before, they're not coming from suburbs. Although you will have a few that live in a comfortable place, the majority of people that find themselves within this realm or this world are coming from very low expectational backgrounds, you know. So for them, any opportunity to become the somebody in this world is a major achievement, you know, for them. So that being said, you also have people that are literally just going through a lot of financial struggles. So here you have, you know, we have the drug industry, which plays a major role to that realm. And in the drug industry, there's a lot of money to be made. So you're talking of young kids at the age of 16 having over £2,000-3,000 in their pocket. You know, they become a target for someone who hasn't got that.
Yeah, that's true.
And this is where it becomes that cycle, because someone wants to take what you have and what you've earned, you know. And through that now becomes this battle, you know, of, because for you it's just like, you know, like right now you've got like America and you've got North Korea, and they're doing all these nuclear. Why are they doing this? Because they want people to see, like, to fear them, or they want to show the world that if you test me, this is what I can do. It's not that much different from these young people in the streets. So everyone wants to show, like, it's part of the branding, that if you go to this area and you mess about, they will kill you. They will hurt you. So by doing that, you're leaving yourself in a realm where it's going to be full of violence. It's going to be full of a lot of negative energy. So this is what creates that field where there's a lot of territorial war.
Okay, so then the cycle goes on, because if you kill a gang member, obviously they're also going to revenge.
Exactly.
So is it also, I read it somewhere, not sure whether it's true or not, is it also that before some gang you become a member, you need to actually go and kill someone before you be initiated into a gang?
I think to the extreme, when you talk about, you understand that a lot of this sort of gang culture has derived from America, and places like Chicago where it's very intense, and to get yourself an armed weapon or a gun is literally just like going to the shop to buy drink or water. So I mean, in that kind of area, killings were a lot more, it was happening a lot more normal, do you know what I mean? Regularly, you know. But I mean, in the UK, although there's a lot of killings that happen, it's nowhere near the level of America. So I feel like they've tried to adopt that culture, but most of the time is not as extreme. From my experience growing up, that it wasn't that extreme that you'd have to kill, because as I said, we were just friends that just all mostly went to the same school. We shared the same sort of social background, so we could relate with each other. We found ourselves going through the same type of struggles, so when we were picking ourselves up, it became this like brotherhood, as you said before. And during that whole period, you would find that some would fall off, some would have parents that were a lot more caring about them and pull them aside and take them away from the whole atmosphere, but the majority of them will then grow a bond together. You know, it's like when you work together in the workplace, you and your colleagues build this bond. So it's like they become colleagues as well as brothers. They work together, they do business together. Some are in the business of robbing people, some in the business of selling drugs, which is the most predominant one. It could range. So now you have this world where me and you have shared, I don't know, times where we both was on our last £5, we've gone out there and made money together, you know, and we've done that several times now. So we have this sense of exactly, and then so that's what all of those factors build this bond. Or maybe someone troubled you, and I was with you, and they were going to hurt you, and I stepped in and helped you out, and now you feel this sense of loyalty towards me, you know. Or I heard someone was going to do X, Y, Z to you, you know. But I mean, it ranged from, sometimes one could be left homeless, you know, and he's come and lived at his friend's house, and sometimes even parents knew each other, you know, and embraced each other as brothers and sisters, you know. It could start with many, back in the, we used to just meet up and go to one's house and play computer games, you know. So it was this sense of real bond, you know, a real bond between each other. So to compare it to America, with you have to go and kill someone, don't get me wrong, there were certain sort of rules and regulations, code of conduct that we live by, you know. Some, for example, you can't snitch to police if you get caught, X, Y, Z. But as to the level of you have to kill, I didn't personally experience that in the UK, but I do know that that exist in a higher extreme level.
More organized, So do you if you're a gang member and you want to leave for whatever reason, is it an open door policy? Can you just get up and leave, or you'll be restricted, or you'll be hung down and killed?
To be fair, it depends on the circumstance you were in before you left. I mean, if you're involved in gang war or war in any kind of perspective and people have been killed, then I mean, you can't just put your hand up and say, oh, time out, I'm signing up. Someone's dead, and if you were part of that responsibility of those people dying, then it becomes a never-ending thing. But for example, like myself, we were involved in a lot of things, but I found for me that it is possible, because I am a living testimony of that, you know. But I can honestly say that it's not just as easy as just jump out and go, depending on what part you played and also where you was at the time, you know. So you might be deep in the game where you owe a lot of people money, for example, and a lot of higher, because there's rankings within this industry, just like any other job or work. So it's, if you take a mortgage and you owe a debt, you can't just say, time, I'm gone. You know, there's still,
that is true,
so there are some repercussions to just wanting to leave, and for most people, I think the biggest one is the psychological aspect of it. You know, being able, because this is something that you've done your whole life now, and to just get up and leave, for me, I found the biggest challenge is the psychological part.
That's true.
Yeah, so
that is true.
There are consequences.
I'll come back to you, but I also read, because obviously I was doing a little bit of research before meeting up with you, and I also read that there are some, as you're saying, drugs plays a major part, or because finances or money is part of one of the reasons why the youth join gang, or people join gang. So one of the reasons I found, not sure, but that's why I wanted to talk to a real person who have actually lived through it, is that the older folks, some of them actually initiate the younger folks, those who are below 16, because obviously they wouldn't be charged as adults, they are youth offenders. So sometimes they actually, not even coerce, threaten actually to join gangs, so probably they don't even want to. So it all comes down to deprived area and all that.
Of course.
You know. But is it true that most other ones also?
I mean, that happens, you know. But I think for the best part of my personal experience growing up and what I observed is that it was a culture that became so tangible to young people. Like, it became attractive, you know, because you have these young people that are growing up and they may have maybe two brothers and one that's maybe on the streets, or two elder people they're looking up to, and you have this guy that's maybe gone through school, college, university. The best part is maybe he's at university on a student loan, and you have this guy that's not even 17 yet, and he's got everything that this person's, even the parents are driving. So I mean, for a young person seeing that, he's thinking, well, it's a no-brainer for me. You know, obviously they're not going to advertise all the negative effects, and it's not only a few. I think that's one of the things that happens, that the older generation, a lot of them, there wasn't a lot that would come and say, listen, my young brother, like, this is not the way for you, because, and then explain to them the negative, dark side, because it becomes an opportunity for them as well, you know. Just like if I owned a company, I need labourers, you know. So you got to understand that there's also this level of the more experienced you become, you sort of get promoted within your realm, you know. And then you have new recruits who want to learn the trade. So obviously if they're going to learn the trade, they're going to have to start by doing, you know, the water boy jobs, you know. So that it becomes a realm that it benefits everyone, because the young person wants to weigh in, and now the person needs someone to now basically carry out his old duties. So it becomes a field of that, and there's a lot of manipulation that happens more than fair. There's a lot of it is down to manipulation.
So, we are just still looking at some of the reasons why the youth, not the adults, no, we are dealing with the youth now, join gangs. So as you said, poverty or finances, then sense of belonging, like then culture, the culture of the environment that you're living in, and initiation as well from older folks. So what are some, is there one or two things?
I think, you know, a major part for me is, which plays a part, is definitely down to the parenting. As I said before, when I spoke before, I said that what was one of the first key things was my environment and circumstance.
Okay.
You know, so if you take away that, or you change my environment and circumstance, automatically that brings me to a whole new world, chapter. You know, and when you're a young person, the only one who can be responsible for that are the ones that are your parents and your guidance and people around you. So automatically they play a major role. You know, I wouldn't want to point things. I had a loving mother and she did the best she could, but like I said, due to circumstance and also the environment, that maybe if she knew about and she put herself in a better circumstance or environment, not to say she had her own struggles, but should she had been in a different circumstance or environment, then that would have obviously offered a whole different perspective of life to me. So I think for me, those are major factors in the beginning. Once that is gone wrong, then there are so many faculties that come in. It's like a virus, you know. Once you're exposed to a particular disease, it takes its own course, and there are many factors that then come into play. Why, you know, but if you're able to get the initial stages right, which is the environment and the circumstance that you and opportunities that you give your children, then I feel that that's a major part, you know, to head them down the right direction.